Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. AEW took to the waves of the ocean at the Chris Jericho Rock and Wrestling Rager Sea Cruise, the second wave, and we had new Tag Team Champions crowned. We have the number one contender solidified once and for all, and we are going to talk about all of it right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare, and you are watching the AEW Dynamite review and reaction show right here on Sledgehammer TV. Let's do it.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
A lot of good stuff on tonight's episode of Dynamite, but there are always some things that I just don't really understand, and I'm not sure if I can really get behind, and it started right from the get-go. Well, we had the show kick off with the World Tag Team Championship matchup, Champions SCU taking on members of the Elite, Hangman Page and Kenny Omega. The match itself was fantastic. It started off very slow, very calculating, almost as if the teams were trying to feel each other out. You can feel almost as if they didn't want to make a mistake because they know how important this matchup is, and you kind of got the sense of that by the way this match kicked off. But suddenly it kicked off in an even bigger way, and next thing you know, we had non-stop action. We had tremendous amounts of near falls for both teams. On many occasions, this match seemed like it was going to be over. We even had the misfire. We had a miscommunication between Kenny Omega and Hangman Page, where Kenny Omega suffered the effects of a buckshot lariat courtesy of Hangman Page, thanks to one of the opponents, I forget who it was, I think it might have been Scorpio Sky, got out of the way just in time because he was supposed to be the recipient of that buckshot lariat, but instead it hit Kenny Omega. All of the elements were there for everything that I expected to happen. But instead, we seen a title change tonight, and we seen the championships now go to Kenny Omega and Hangman Page, and I'm not actually sure that was 100% necessary. While it wasn't a problem, I don't think it's a bad thing per se. It may add a little bit more to what's coming. We can clearly see Hangman Page is going off and going down this really weird path where he's going to end up on his own. He's going to turn on the entirety of the Elite, not just Kenny Omega, and it's almost written in the stars here. And now you've given them the championships to add a little bit more to that, and I don't necessarily agree with that aspect. I feel like they should have left the championships on SCU, allowing them to continue their run, making the championships something more important, adding to the legacy, adding to the importance of the belts. But now you added it almost as an added accoutrement, here's a fancy word for you, a little extra to a storyline that actually doesn't need it. There's enough history between these guys that longtime fans of all of them know that will get everybody tremendously invested, that it didn't necessarily need to have the Tag Team Championships as part of the storyline of the breaking up of Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. Some of you are going to think it's going to add more to it, and it just might, and I understand where you're coming from when you say that, but when you think about how AEW said the titles were going to be important, you know, they were going to place importance on things and win-loss records and real tag teams and this and that. And while I wouldn't necessarily call Hangman Page and Kenny Omega a makeshift tag team by any means, they are both members of the same faction, so therefore they kind of, by default are a tag team, and that's fine. But they've really only been together for a short amount of time. SCU has been together forever, and in a team capacity, I'm talking about. And over the course of the last couple of weeks, we've seen Hangman Page and Kenny Omega be very impressive in the tag team division. And I guess the title shot is well earned and deserved. But did they need to win the championship? I certainly don't think that's the case. So there's a little bit of a negative thing from it. It's not negative in a way that it took anything away. And I'm not really saying it's bad. I just don't feel that it was 100% necessary. I certainly wouldn't have made that decision if I was booking the show. It doesn't seem necessary at this point, especially when you already know that we are on this path of them dissolving. Now you're going to have them break up over the championship, with the championships involved, maybe? I don't know. We'll have to see where this goes. But the match itself was very, very good, very entertaining, a fine way to kick off this show. And let's talk about the ambiance of this show for a second. It felt great. It really harkened back to the days of WCW when they used to do the outdoor shows on the beach. I think it was Panama City Beach, Florida, and we used to have the pools set up on the entrance ramp, and it just had a real old school vibe while still feeling very new. And the fact that it was happening on TNT, I don't know if this is just a mental thing, being a longtime fan, it just feels right. Just feels right. This is something the WWE doesn't really do. These theme-typed shows, I don't know what else you would want to call them. I mean, these episodes all having these throwback type of feel. You know, we have Bash at the Beach last week, and now we had the Rock and Wrestling Rager, which isn't really a throwback to anything, but the set and the feel of the show just was very old school, yet still felt very new, and that's what we need, and that's what AEW needs to keep taking advantage of, and it just felt great. And you knew before the end of the night somebody was getting thrown in that pool, and on this show they picked the perfect person, and we will get to that in just a second. After the championships changed hands in the tag team matchup, we had Hangman Page going off into the crowd, drinking beers with the fans and doing whatever. He ended up back on the entry ramp while the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega were in the ring, and they seemed kind of perturbed by this. So that's definitely leading into what we all already know is coming, and there's going to be issues with Hangman Page in the near future, despite the fact that he has found himself now as a champion. They followed this with Britt Baker defeating Priscilla Kelly. Priscilla Kelly making her debut in AEW. I was a huge fan of Priscilla Kelly when I first seen her in the Mae Young Classic, the last time the WWE held that. She was looking drastically different at the time, and if I'm being honest, I prefer the way she used to look to the way she looks now. I think the red hair does nothing for her. I liked the dark black gothic look, and it just was more appealing to me for her character, and I was pretty shocked to see her. I haven't seen her recently, and to see this bright red-haired Priscilla Kelly just kind of took me back a little bit. Now, as far as this match goes, it wasn't good. This match wasn't good. I don't know what it is, but Britt Baker, I had high hopes for her. You guys that watch this show for a long time, you know that I've been an advocate for Britt. I've thought she should have been in bigger spots sooner. But then I see a match like I get tonight, and I understand maybe why they pulled back a little bit, because this match was very sloppy. It was slow. It was just not good. Not good. And I don't like to say negative things about the females, but this was not a good showcase. It really was not. And her post-match promo, after she defeats Priscilla Kelly here in a very lackluster matchup, gives us the appearance that Britt Baker is going heel. Now, Tony Schiavone shows up in the ring. He's going to interview Britt Baker following this disaster of a matchup. And he was giving her shit about her tactics during the matchup. And then Britt Baker fired back, taking shots at Tony Schiavone for having to used to be a barista in Starbucks at one point while he was between jobs. And hey, everybody's got to pay the bills, you know. And if Starbucks is where you got to go, Starbucks is where you got to go. You think I want to work where I'm working right now? I'm just doing that because I got to provide for my family. Man's got to do what a man's got to do. And she's giving him shit for taking a menial job to provide for his family. So obviously, Britt Baker is going heel. She continues to berate Tony Schiavone. She talks about being the hottest girl on the boat. She's talking about being smart and super educated, and she keeps talking about how she's a dentist. And then they went to break. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I don't really care so much about this because they haven't given me a reason to latch on to Britt Baker as a babyface. Turning somebody heel so soon, before we get to really know them, is kind of counterproductive. So it's not like impactful, it wasn't shocking. While I didn't really see it coming, it didn't surprise me because there's just nothing really going on in this women's division. And I would prefer Britt Baker be a heel, even though this promo and this matchup shows she needs a lot of improvement in many areas still. I will take this over having to see the Nightmare Collective any day of the week. I don't know, maybe Brandy Rhodes gets seasick, maybe she's not out there on the cruise with everybody, maybe Kong didn't want to go, I don't know, maybe they couldn't get a passport for Dr. Luther, I don't know what the issue was, but I'm grateful. I'm not complaining at all about the fact that they were not on the show. In fact, the show was made better for it. And I will take stuff like this over having to see that other shit any day of the week. We had a 6-man tag. You know how much I love 6-man tags? I'm so tired of seeing them. I'm tired of seeing them. And we just got the announcement on social media earlier today. Apparently they're going to have 6-man Tag Team Championship belts here. AEW is going to announce that they're coming soon. Okay? And if that's the first time you heard that anywhere, then hey, breaking news, everybody. They're going to get a 6-man Tag Team Championship division going on. And I'm not sure how I feel about it because 6-man tag team matchups have just become the same old shit. We've seen so many of them over the course of the last 2 years, I don't think I ever want to see another one. But now, there's going to be a whole division of them. So I guess this is something we're just going to have to become accustomed to. And when you have a team like the Jurassic Express, it's almost a given that they will most likely be your inaugural 3-man team. Unless they give that to SCU instead. Maybe that was the reason they took the belts off them. I don't know. There's got to be a reason for it. But here we have this 6-man tag team matchup. Chris Jericho and Proud and Powerful Santana and Ortiz defeating the Jurassic Express. This was a decent 6-man. I mean, there wasn't anything that spectacular about it. When I have to watch a matchup and I have to see Marco Stunt pinning Chris Jericho in any capacity, I really just want to bang my hammer right against my temples. I'm not a fan of the Marco Stunts and the Orange Cassidys and the whole sideshow gimmicky freaking guys that just don't get over with me. You had Jake Hager come out and cause the distraction and pull the Luchasaurus away from this matchup. Why would he leave? Why would he leave for Jake Hager? You leave your two little buddies out there with the rest of the Inner Circle. You know what's going to happen. So it makes Luchasaurus kind of look stupid, but I guess he's a big giant dinosaur. Maybe his brain isn't that big, and he's easy to bait. And he definitely got taken tonight by Jake Hager. And this caused enough of a distraction for Chris Jericho to get the pin on Marco Stunt and get the win for the Inner Circle tonight in this 6-man. It was fine. It wasn't a bad 6-man. I'm just tired of 6-mans. But I guess I'm going to have to get over that now, ain't I? This is going to be more and more of us coming at it. More and more of them coming at us. We had MJF defeating Joey Janella tonight. This match was okay at best. There wasn't anything at all special about this matchup. Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford decided to come out and make out just to get under the skin of Joey Janella. Joey Janella misses a top rope elbow and MJF hits him with a double cross for the win. And there was nothing really more to this match to talk about than that. The big guy, Wardlow, he's not there tonight because he's training for his cage match that's coming up with Cody Rhodes. MJF cut a promo on Cody after the match, which every time that happens is always great. He called Cody Rhodes a poet, but then reminded Cody that if he's writing a book, MJF is going to be the final chapter in the book of Cody Rhodes. I thought that was a great line. Cody Rhodes came out. MJF started to just poke the bear because Cody Rhodes had to come out, and he's just started to talk shit about how he speaks, making fun of his lisp. He was talking about how you can't touch me or the match is off. He was very, very proud of having that fact to keep throwing at Cody Rhodes. He even offered Cody Rhodes the microphone and then dropped it on the mat and then kicked the microphone away, just showing so much disrespect, trying to get Cody Rhodes to take one swing so that he could call this match off. But Cody Rhodes very wisely said, I can't touch you. But Matt and Nick can, and the Young Bucks came out of nowhere. They hit the double super kick on MJF, and then MJF would be the one thrown into the swimming pool, giving me more of those WCW vibes, and it just felt great. You always want to see the villain get some sort of comeuppance at some point, and we don't know how this is going to end with MJF and Cody Rhodes. We know Cody still has to take his lashings. He still has to go through this steel cage match, and he can't touch MJF the whole way to we get to Revolution. And this is a good story, and I like what they're doing here. The match with what's his name that he had here, Joey Janella, that was unnecessary. It would have been fine if MJF just came out, cut the promo, Cody, and they did the whole pool thing. That would have been just fine with me. Tony Schiavone interviewed Kenny Omega and Hangman Page in the back, the new champs. Kenny Omega was thrilled to be tag team champions with one of his best friends. He's really putting that fact over. And the Young Bucks were back there celebrating with them. And Hangman Page throws out there, he says he was actually quite surprised that they won the tag team championships, he and Omega, before the Bucks were able to. And this seemed to piss off the Young Bucks. Page walked off, and Kenny Omega kind of was like, all right, relax, calm down. It's just Hangman being Hangman. You know, like, this is interesting, but it didn't need the championships. Did somebody write that cool line and then think, oh, we have to do this? I think it bothers me so much because we just seen it on Monday Night Raw. We've seen Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy win the Raw Tag Team Championships basically out of nowhere. And I don't know, it just feels kind of the same as that to me. And part of me wonders if WWE knew this was a tape show, found out what happened, and then decided to do it first on Monday in order to maybe take some of the wind out of the sails of this happening on Wednesday. It's a little bit conspiracy theorist of me, but you gotta throw it out there. I couldn't put it past the WWE to do some shit like that, would you? I certainly wouldn't. They talked about next week's episode, which is going to feature a match between the Young Bucks versus the Butcher and the Blade. Cody Rhodes is going to go up against Kip Sabian, and a promo from the winner of tonight's main event were advertised next week. Obviously, the number one contender was going to be able to say whatever he wanted on next week's show. Chris Jericho joined the commentary desk for the main event, which is always a positive. He was very entertaining throughout this number one contenders match, and he was pulling for Pac for most of the time because he just hates Jon Moxley that much. Moxley the Pirate. Long John Moxley had a great match here with Pac, ends up defeating Pac, gets the number one contendership, and I'm fine with it. I just don't know if this was necessary either. Haven't we all kind of been under the assumption that Jon Moxley was already the number one contender? And kind of sacrificing Pac and his momentum in this matchup, having to take the loss here for Jon Moxley to go over, maybe is counterproductive for the momentum of Pac. I thought he was on a great run, and I don't think taking a loss here is doing his character any favors. While it was very clear to most of us who was going to win, it was a very predictable outcome. We knew what was going to happen, but they made it very entertaining. This was a very good main event. Very different from what we're used to getting in main event scenarios on the other shows. But I can't really complain too much. I got a great match to watch, and hopefully it doesn't do too much damage to the Pac character. I have a feeling they're going to take him a little bit more seriously going forward. I mean, AEW needs a mid-card title. If Chris Jericho is going to be walking around with the AEW championship, being the face of the company and being the head dog, then you need something for guys like Pac to fight for. Something to entice some of these other guys to come over and sign on to the company for. Because that's what it's missing. That's what it's missing. Otherwise, we're going to keep getting guys like Pac and Hangman Page and Kenny Omega in situations and getting championships and championship opportunities that are going to end up going nowhere in the end. But while I don't agree with the direction, the wrestling was great. So don't be too freaking hard on me. This review is a pretty positive one. While the women's stuff was still pretty terrible, I'm glad that it didn't have anything to do with the most terrible women's segment. Well, I don't know if it's the most terrible. If we're going to weigh the Nightmare Collective versus Lana and Lashley, I'd say they're pretty equal, if you ask me. It's just pretty damn awful. This show, while it was good, it had a very fast pace, and it went by like this, man. That's how you know you had a good time and you were watching a good show, because it was over almost as quick as it begun. It was not nearly as good as last week's show. There was just something about last week's show that just felt better, felt bigger. The matches maybe were more intense. I don't know. But I just remember coming out of last week's show, I was like, damn, that was a good show, and I can't wait to talk about it. This show, while it was a good show, it just didn't leave me with that same kind of wow-like feeling. It was a good show. It felt good. It felt retro. It felt great. But it just wasn't as good as this show has been. I love the whole setup on the cruise ship. I can't talk enough about that. It was very, very well paced. This was a thumbs up show. Hands down, you can't call this a bad show. I'm just here to point out some of the issues and some of the inconsistencies and some of the things that I think maybe are wrong in the direction that they're going. But for the most part, moving forward with AEW in 2020 seems to be going in the right direction so far. Every show this year has been pretty much a winner, and I'm looking forward to more. I'm starting to look forward to Revolution. We got some good stuff coming at us. The Cody Rhodes storyline is very, very good. We didn't see any Dark Order tonight, which is probably another reason why tonight felt pretty good as well. The Dark Order storyline needs to take a break and have a breather once in a while, because if you do it too much, it's just going to become old and stale before it even starts to get interesting. And while the breakup of SCU might be something that's down the line, being that they lost the Tag Team Championships, that would lead into my Christopher Daniels theory of him being the Exalted One. There's also the heavily spoken about rumors of Matt Hardy, once his contract being up, is going to be the one to be the Exalted One. There are rumors that Luke Harper may end up being the Exalted One. There's so many possibilities that it makes it interesting. So the less they show of it right now, until we get closer to that reveal, the better. Even a promo wasn't shown tonight, which is good, because you don't need to overinflate us. So tonight's AEW's Rock and Wrestling Rager at Sea episode. Thumbs up. Very good stuff. If you didn't watch it, go watch it. You could fast forward the women's match, because you're not going to really miss all that much. But aside from that, AEW's continuing to kick ass all year long. This might be a very good year for Dynamite. So, that being said, don't forget to check out everything else on this channel. The Hammering of Monday Night Raw is available right now. If you missed that, go check it out, because it was nowhere near as fun, nowhere near as good as this show. So I get pretty angry, and when I get angry, I get funny. So naturally, that is a way more entertaining show. The worse the shows are, the better my shows end up being. So if you missed the Raw review, go check that out. Make sure you don't miss anything on this show, or on this channel rather, by hitting that subscribe button right now. If you enjoyed today's show, and if I made you laugh, if I made you cry, if I made you understand why AEW, even when it is freaking great, still maybe has a few issues, smash that like button right now. Share this video with a friend or with multiple friends, and get this show over the 3,000 subscriber mark this year. That would be fantastic, and that all starts with awesome wrestling fans just like you. So like, share, and subscribe right now if you enjoyed today's show. If you didn't enjoy today's show, then I'm sorry. Then what are you still doing here watching at almost 25 minutes in? If you're not having fun and you didn't enjoy yourself, how the hell did you make it this far? Am I just that handsome, or maybe you just like the cool little layout I did here for you guys? I don't know what it is. But no matter what, I appreciate all you guys watching, and everybody who's been a member of the Sledgehammer TV family that we are growing here more and more each and every day. You guys know who you are. I love each and every one of you guys. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the team. Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue the Snowball, the most important member of the team, as always, is each and every one of you sledgeheads out there. That, my friends, is going to do it, and we are out of here. And we will see you next time right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com. Boom.